Helldivers 2 is a game that I am very passionate about. As of filming this, I have 769.8 hours on Steam and 509 hours spent in missions with a total of 239,717 enemies killed and 10 primary weapons that I spend hours grinding to max level. I love this game, but I can't say the same for its developer, Arrowhead Game Studios. Over the 2 years of this game being out, they have consistently snatched defeat from the jaws of victory, and in this video I'm going to document every dumb decision and implementation that Arrowhead has made, ranging from fairly niche to driving a weapon or stratagem into the ground. First of all, I want to go over some guidelines that I set for myself when compiling this long list. The changes made had to have been unnecessary, such as a weapon or stratagem being nerfed because it was too popular or the reason given made zero sense. Number 2. Changes that I consider to be heavily opinionated will not be included, such as the Ultimatum Demolition Force nerf. I want this video to be as objective as possible and also not let my own opinions dictate what is or isn't objective. Number 3. Nerfs being reverted won't be covered as they are not relevant to the scope of this video. I'm Teams is God, and this is a documentary about Arrowhead's history of balance mismanagement. I hope that you enjoy. To start off, I'll be going over every patch that had pointless nerfs and buffs to Helldivers and enemies alike. I will be going over each balance change by order of date, what day, month, year they came out in, and the patch number itself. All dates are available to view on either Steam or the official Helldivers 2 Discord server. March 6, 2024, patch 01.000.100, the first balance patch. Breaker magazine capacity reduced from 16 to 13 and increased recoil from 30 to 55. Shield generator backpack has an increased delay before recharging. April 2nd, 2024, patch 01.000.200. Slugger has a reduced stagger, reduced damage from 280 to 250, and reduced demolition force. April 29th, 2024, patch 01.003.300. Eruptor has its explosion damage drop off slightly faster. Exploding crossbow now has a slightly smaller explosion, decreased magazines from 12 to 8, and a slight reduction in ergonomics. Quasar Cannon has increased recharge time by 5 seconds. Guard Dog Rover has damage reduced by 30%. May 7th, 2024, patch 01.000.032. Eruptor has shrapnel removed. The most controversial change probably ever in this whole game's history. June 13th, 2024, patch 01.000.400. Tenderizer had decreased magazine capacity from 35 to 30 and decreased number of magazines from 8 to 10. August 6, 2024, Escalation of Freedom, patch 01.001.002. Slugger has spread and drag increased, exact number not mentioned. Breaker Incendiary has decreased mags from 6 to 4 and recoil increased from 28 to 41. Difficulty 10, Super Helldive, was added, but over the coming months it would inadvertently get easier and be brought down to around launch difficulty 7, in my opinion. Impaler Tentacles cause excessive ragdolling to Helldivers and the ability to launch them so high into the air that they would never come down. Flame weapons were reworked, and now not only look worse but performed worse as well. September 17th, 2024, pre-60 day patch. Patch 01.001.100. Hulk Bruiser gets the energy-based cannons, the one found on command bunkers and fortresses, and shoots more frequently. Berserkers had their chainsaw damage increased. February 11th, 2025, patch 01.002.103. Ultimatum no longer influenced by Hellpod space optimization and siege-ready armor passive. March 18th, 2025, patch 01.002.200. Automaton AI buffed to have increased number of calculations in-game. However, the trade-off for game performance was too severe for an unnoticeable change. May 13th, 2025, Omens of Tyranny, patch 01.003.000. All SMGs, except for the Reprimand, Peacemaker, Redeemer, Verdict, Loyalist, Talon, Crisper, Grenade Pistol, Dagger, and Stim Pistol had their sway increased from 1.0 to 1.2, with the Bushwhacker and Senator having their sway increased from 1.0 to 1.3. All SMGs had their drag increased from 0.3 to 0.6. Automaton gunships had their main body armor reduced from heavy to medium, and main body health from 950 to 700, making them a massive pushover and comically easy to kill. Robotic enemies are now harder to set on fire. July 15th, 2025, patch 01.003.200. Chest injury bleed damage was increased from 1 to 10, conveniently after the Force of Law Warbond launched, which had an armor passive that granted immunity to bleed damage. Scout Strider leg armor reduced from medium to light with an increase to durable resistance. August 5th, 2025, patch 01.003.202. Epoch has spread decreased by 75%, but the weapon remained underwhelming. Warpack can no longer teleport you outside the extraction shovel after you enter, something that only benefited the player by humoring them. September 2nd, 2025, Into the Unjust. Patch 01.004.000. Rupture Strain added, being buggy as hell, with hosts unable to avoid burrowing attacks. Later attempts to fix the bug results in all Helldivers suffering from an unavoidable dodge, forcing Arrowhead to disable them until the bug was fixed. October 23rd, 2025, patch 4.1.0. The grand motherlode of dumb changes. All SMGs and sidearms have their drag increased from 0.6 to 1.2, making them higher than every shotgun except for the Slugger. Stealth nerfed weapons that could set enemies on fire by increasing the flame threshold from 2.0 to 2.1 in response to Coyote popularity. Coyote had a threshold of 2.0. Flesh mods have most health zones slightly more durable and slightly less vulnerable to fire due to the health decrease from 6,000 to 5,000 and making faces take extra damage. This change only serving to make flamethrowers less viable than they already are. Bile spewers are slightly harder to set on fire and larger body parts are slightly more durable. Brood commanders are slightly harder to set on fire. Warriors are slightly higher to set on fire and have a slight durable increase in head and body. All Devastators are slightly harder to set on fire and large body parts are slightly more durable. Factory Striders are less vulnerable to fire, making any high-risk, high-reward playstyle of melting their belly with the Flamer, Crisper, or Torture not worth trying to pull off. Scout Strider's armored shield top is more durable. Resupply pods are no longer climbable. January 23rd, 2026, patch 5.0.2. Minigun muzzle flash is reduced with the stealth change of increasing the amount of smoke from the barrel, making it almost impossible to see what you're shooting at and making a mod that reduces or turns off muzzle smoke a requirement. Things that do not fit into this list for either being undocumented when the change happened or has been in the game since launch are the Vitality Enhancement Booster, dropping from 20% damage resistance to 10% damage resistance. Thermite grenades will sometimes bounce off the enemy, and the audio mixing being famously terrible. As you can see, Arrowhead has made some pretty ridiculous changes over the past 2 years, with patch 4.1.0 surpassing escalation of freedom with ridiculous and unneeded changes that only hurt how the player can enjoy the game. Plus, with how bad power creep has gotten when waves of weapons are buffed and others aren't, some weapons get left in the dirt, since enemies also get stronger durable resistances, or just stronger in general. Now, I'm going to go over a list of issues that I've compiled over the course of a few days. I got this info from YouTubers, fellow fans of Helldivers, and issues that I've noticed myself. After Escalation of Freedom, Arrowhead has been terrified to nerf any weapon that we have or will get. As a result, weapons and stratagems release in a state of not exactly being bad, but also not being good. Arrowhead has a method of monkey's paw balancing. When they buff a weapon, they sometimes counteract it with an artificial nerf or buffing our enemies as well, making its updated state the same if not worse than before. No transmog. Seriously, Arrowhead, you have no good reason to not have this in the game. I don't care if my teammate is running Siege Ready Armor passive with the Trench Gunner armor, I just want to look cool without restriction because a bad passive is tied to an armor that I find looks good. Bugs in the game that center around the host suffering the most out of every other player in the lobby. No new weapon customization unlocks since 8 months after they launched, with what should be new unlocks being tied to weapons that center around a gimmick like the 1-2 assault rifle and the new suppressed weapons. New stratagems are locked behind war bonds even after Arrowhead said that they wouldn't make war bonds the main way of adding new stratagems. Durable damage hampers a weapon's efficiency when fighting an enemy that has the same armor value. This only serves to drag down how effective a weapon can be, and it would be much better if the durable health system was removed. Please just make weapons that match the armor rating of an enemy do full damage and not partial damage. It would only serve to make the gameplay better. Game performance has tanked hard since launch. There are less enemies at once and the game runs worse than it did 2 years ago. Arrowhead developers are unable to work around the Stingray game engine. Despite them saying that certain things in the game are impossible due to engine limitations, the developers of Warhammer 40k Darktide have been using the very same engine and they have had no issues at all. Features that benefit the player in unintended ways are patched out of the game. When redeploying near a tall structure, your health pod forces itself away from it, taking control away from the player and often forcing you into an awful spot. Stratagem balls no longer stick to certain surfaces, and reduce player creativity and problem solving. There are others that I've missed for sure, but this being a thing is a huge problem. Automaton turrets are immune to the benefits of stealth armor and will still lock onto you if you get too close, factory striders included. Helldivers 1 did more cool stuff gameplay wise. They had a tank, APCs, a medigun, a drone that would heal you, a rail cannon turret, a barbed wire deployable, and other cool stratagems that took advantage of the futuristic setting. Mega cities feel like regular modern day cities. On planets with megacities, they're shown to be as big as some countries with skyscrapers that touch the atmosphere. But in-game, they're just a bunch of small apartment buildings and nothing else other than the occasional park or playground. There are no restaurants, only advertisements for them, no signs of public transportation, no shopping malls or stores, etc. There aren't even distant structures like space elevators or skyscrapers. To end this note, I want to make it clear that I don't want areas like the inside of a building or anything within an actual city that would bring down the gameplay. I only want them to be fun. No new mechs since the Emancipator. How have we gotten no new mechs since June 5th, 2024? They are yet to even add the Lumberer mech from the first game or mech customization. We even lost the stratagem launcher. How have we gone so long without a new mech or even customization? Dead enemies sometimes block your shots. You've gotten this bug before. All of us have. A Hulk gets its eye blown out and falls over. You aim to shoot the trooper behind him, and its corpse is somehow blocking all your shots as if it were alive and standing up straight. This has been an issue since launch and needs to be fixed soon. Updates and bug fixes introduce new bugs or cause old ones to resurface. There's a reason why the spear being broken in the next update is a running joke among Helldivers fans. Hellpod space optimization should be a basic thing, not a booster. It's annoying being forced to use a booster for what should be the standard. And finally, Arrowhead with their whole grunt fantasy and selective realism. We are not grunts, we are Helldivers, Super Earth's elite and the best of the best. We perform missions that are impossible by regular CF forces. We have access to the best gear in Super Earth's arsenal, and have a personal super destroyer supporting us the entire time. We are not grunts. If I want to play a grunt fantasy, I play Escape from Tarkov or some other game where you are laughably vulnerable. For the last segment, I wanted to go over any mods that are required to fix anything that Arrowhead hasn't fixed for years, and some that are absolutely needed to improve the experience of an existing weapon. Chaff/Heavy Units Remastered fixes the awful audio mixing and makes the 10 tons of angry bug a threat that can't hide. No vision blur/ultimate muzzle flash for the Maxigun. You can't see anything when you're aiming when firing this thing, and it kills most of the fun that one may have with it. And finally, low quality preset reborn allows you to optimize your game so you can run at a frame rate higher than 7 frames per second. Granted, you need to install Reshade, but the process is simple, or the setup process is simple. That's everything I had to cover. As you can see, Arrowhead has a long history of screwing up and eroding player trust over time. This isn't helped by the fact that they've fostered an environment of toxic positivity by only listening to those who praise them and not fixing any problems until they become too big to ignore. I know that some people are calling me a wine diver from just looking at the title of this video, but I am far from it. I want to see this game be the best it can be, but Arrowhead keeps holding it back. They made a printer that flooded them in gold and beat it with a hammer until it printed copper instead. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this video. I hope that you walk away knowing how bad Arrowhead's history of screwing up is, and that hopefully things will change in the near future. Before this video ends, I want to give a huge thank you to the BF333 for giving me footage of his Maxigun mod in action when I couldn't get it to work for whatever reason. Discord user the Chaff for just helping me out a little bit in general. And a huge, massive special thank you to Discord user Paper Guide. They are the ones that helped me the most throughout this whole thing, and also gave me some motivation when I need to work on this and, fight through apathy and laziness. But big thanks to all of them, of course. They were all very helpful. Goodbye. I hope that you enjoyed. I'll see you next time.